Shabbat Shalom, my beautiful family. It's Ty with the Intuitive Cosmic family. We are here today to do a Sabbath session for Numbers chapters 30 through 33, the King James Version. We will discuss what Spirit brought to our attention and what spoke to us the most. So we'll get started.
Hey, my name is Lay. What spoke to me was chapters 30, verses 2 in Numbers. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind himself, with a bond he shall not break, his word he shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. This spoke to me because if some man or woman vow unto the Lord and say they will follow after the Lord's word and speak the word of the Lord, that they shall not break their word or turn against the Lord. This spoke to me also because if you're having like a relationship with God and you're getting into that you should turn away from that. Like if somebody's telling you something different, or if somebody's saying, oh well, I don't like how this is happening, or they don't believe in God, that you should stop believing in God and start reading the Bible. So yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying. You're saying sticking to your word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right, because your word is your bond. It says he shall do according to it out of his mouth. I like that last portion too. So you spoke something. You said you're going to do it. You said you're going to follow me in my word, right? You're going to be obedient. So stick to it. Don't go back on your word. That's what it sounds like. Good job. And who else wants to go next? Spoke to you?
Me.
Okay.
This is Rich, and what spoke to me was Numbers 33, verse 55. But if ye will not drive out the inhabitants of the land from before you, then it shall come to pass that those which ye let remain of them shall be pricks in your eyes, and thorns in your sides, and shall vex you in the land wherein ye dwell. The reason why this spoke to me is because it's talking about how it's talking about when if you leave them there and stuff, then eventually they're gonna become a problem for you and stuff. And
Okay.
the explanation of this is years ago when people from other countries came to America and vexed us indigenous people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's some of the things they did to vex people? Can you name a thing or two?
They took away our rights, our freedom, and our land.
Okay.
So yeah.
Anybody want to add on to that?
Yes. Um. Going into a little bit more. To add on to this, from people from the outside of America, specifically Europeans, and yeah, specifically Europeans, they came to our lands because one, they didn't have much land of their own. They came to our lands to basically they took our lands and they had us build their homes and like
So like forced labor?
yeah,
Okay.
and plant crops for them and basically um be their
enslaved?
Yeah, be their slaves and stuff. So yeah.
Hey, this is Leah. What stuck out to me was Numbers chapter 32, verse 13. And the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness for 40 years until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was consumed. This stuck out to me because, once again, Israel's in the wilderness because they have disobeyed the Lord many, many times again. He wasn't very happy with them. So now they have to walk through the wilderness 40 years until all of the evil that is in their community is gone, and so they can start again and get back good with the Lord because He keeps giving them chances and chances. Yeah.
Right. And so it sounds like it's a form of like sifting, right? It's like when you got the pasta in your strainer, or you know messing with the sand and you trying to get the rock from out the sand, and you just sift it to get the ones that's right,
Yeah.
or get the stuff out that's not needed. And it's just like a bunch of this going round and round, and it just seems like a common misstep, because when we were reading it, you said it yourself. You was like, here we go again. And it's the truth, right? Because this is like, the people here are just, they hard-hearted, they hard-headed, and it just seems like it just won't stick, that they need to be obedient, because they don't get the just because they got favor don't mean they don't have to be obedient. They don't follow the rules. And I believe here a lot of this stemmed from what, when they had the war with the Midianites, they were supposed to go about it a certain way. And it sounds as if some of these men kept Midianite women, and they did things they weren't supposed to, right? Because they weren't supposed to do certain things, and they basically went against Moses' word, which was going against the Most High's word, and the handling of the spoils of the Midianites. So yeah, that one definitely spoke out to me too. It says in verse 15 of chapter 32, for if ye turn away from after him, he will yet leave again them in the wilderness, and ye shall destroy all this people. And it just makes so much sense. Like I said, it's just continuous. It's just a continuation when you don't learn your lesson. It's just like that saying goes, of insanity. You have to see what it is, right? And then change it. You can't just keep doing the same things and expect a different outcome. So if you want a different outcome, these people want to get out of the wilderness, they got to try doing something different, right? They've got to do what the good Lord is asking them to do, instead of keep doing what they want to do, keep doing what their flesh, wants them to do. And a lot of times when you're dealing with people in large numbers, that unfortunately seems to be a common, anomaly with people, going on to do things that are outside of the scope that has been instilled, right? We have criteria, we have laws that have been given to us a lot of times. And I like to say these things to think outside of government, right? Because during these times, there wasn't like official governance. And so we just had laws to abide by, just for civility, right? The civility of it all. And then also for spirituality reasons. And people just disobeyed them, right? And they were there for order, right? They were there for orderliness and cleanliness, and uprightness, and so that people would be able to live and have longevity, right? And another thing that spoke out, well, I'm gonna say what spoke out to me, and that was, so what stood out for me was in Numbers 32. It says, we will not, I'm sorry, chapter 32, verse 18. We will not return unto our houses until the children of Israel have inherited every man his inheritance. For we will not inherit with them on yonder side Jordan or forward, because our inheritance is fallen to us on this side Jordan eastward. And Moses said unto them, if ye will do this thing, if ye will go armed before the Lord, or go to war, and will go all of you armed over Jordan before the Lord, until he have driven out his enemies before him, and the Lord be subdued before the Lord, then afterward ye shall return and be guiltless before the Lord and before Israel, and this land shall be your possession before the Lord. So this is talking about gaining their land back, their rightful land. Because if you go back into Numbers chapters 33, and you go on to verse 50, and it says, or 51, speak unto the children of Israel and say unto them, when ye are passed over Jordan into the land of Canaan. So now we know they're going into the land of Canaan, right? Mm-hmm. And so what we know from Genesis is that because of Ham's, his behavior towards his father, right, towards Noah, he was cursed, correct? Yeah. So he was cursed because he seen his father's nakedness, and he cursed Canaan, his son. So he didn't necessarily curse Ham, which in one sense it is. He's cursing his son, but he cursed his son Canaan. And Canaan ends up being, right, jealous and wroth, just like Japheth was in a sense, because when Noah distributed out what he told his sons that the Lord had spoke to him, the three parcels of land that each son would get, Canaan eventually has a problem with Shem's land, and he makes his way into a portion of land that was actually given unto Shem, right, to the sons of Shem, for him. And he creates his land, and that's where you see the Canaanites, right? So that's why there were a lot of Israelites at one point who dealt and dwelt amongst a lot of Canaanites, and that really is because the Canaanites were in a land that was not for them, right? They were dwelling in land that was not of theirs, and they were already, quote unquote, they were already a cursed people, right? Because of due to their father's sin, the sins of the father or the sins of the son. And so this is what they're actually coming back in to get. So you got to really follow this along. So really the land that they're going in to possess and they're going to war for is their own land. And they shouldn't even have to do this, but because you're dealing with somebody who was envious and jealous, and they had they were cursed because of the sins of their father, this is what is happening. And so you see how this passes on from how it affects one lineage to the other when we're not obedient, right? Mm-hmm. And Japheth was wroth as well too about Shem's portion. But this is Canaan, which is the son of Ham, who is now dwelling in a portion of land, near Jordan, over Jordan. And now we have the Israelites coming into this land because it's their rightful land, right? It was the land given from their forefather. Anybody else want to add anything on? Or have anything they want to say? Mm-hmm.
Hey, my name is Lay, and another thing that spoke to me today was Numbers chapter 32, verse 23. But if ye will not do so, behold, ye have sinned against the Lord, and be sure your sin will find you out. This part of the verse that spoke to me was, your sin will find you out. And the reason this spoke to me is because you should be truthful to God, and like if you're sinning or if you're doing something that you're not supposed to be doing, and you're not telling anybody, one way or another it's gonna come out, or you're gonna slip up or say something, or just like something along those lines.
Or the flip side, right? You said you were going to do something, but you're not going to do it, right? You didn't do it, right? You said you were going to follow the Lord's word or the order he gave you, and you not. Goes really back to obedience again, right? Because we're supposed to obey God and his commandments, and then to know we need to follow through with something and we don't. So this seems to be a common theme throughout today's chapters. Because it says your sin will find you out. And for them, this sin is not doing the directions, right? Not following the complete directives that Moses gave them, that the Lord gave, right?
Yes.
And eventually, like he said, the sins will find you out, meaning that it's going to come back to haunt them, right? It's like if I told you to, get rid of 30 people and you only got rid of 29, well, that one person going to come find you out. Like that's what that is, unfortunately, here. Because it is just like a kid. It's just like, you ever seen it Sometimes you got people come and they try to whack a whole family. And then that kid, if he old enough or she's old enough, they gonna remember you. Now they might end up growing older and forgiving you, but they might grow older and come looking for you, man. Now we not talking about nobody getting rid of no kids by any means necessary, but it's just that old adage, like, you know what I'm saying? Basically, don't leave no stone unturned, right? And it just, cross all your I's and dot all your T's is really what it's being saying here. Because you don't want to, leave no closed ends. Tie all your loose ends is essentially what it's saying, because if not, that loose end gonna come back and bite you in your butt, right?
Yes.
So just be mindful when the good Lord tells you to do something, it's for a reason. Follow through all the way, right? Complete the task, essentially. We're here to complete tasks, not partially, not 3/4. We need to be completely and wholly invested and divested into the word, and be obedient when God gives us instructions. Your prophet gives you instructions and they're actually working with the Lord, right? Because we got some people calling themselves prophets, and we know they are most definitely not under the instruction and have not been chosen by the good Lord. So this is, once again, I have to always bring this up for my people, my family, the intuitive cosmic family, about discernment and knowing people who are shady, who come and say that they are, they're there to lead the sheep, but they are wolves, right? In sheep's clothing. They come to devour, they come to betray, they come to mislead our people astray and give them false prophecy. And, they're really working against you, right? They're not working with you. They do not speak directly to God. God does not talk to these people. They lie and they have falsehood. So definitely use your discernment when you're listening and watching people and you call yourself following someone. And, just always use your discernment. Ask yourself questions. Ask them questions. Don't be afraid, to, do your own research. Always look into things yourself. Never take things at face value. And just make sure the people you listening to and watching have factual evidence. The things they're speaking, they're running facts and not just running game. Because a lot of these people, they speak a lot of good stuff, and then when you double back on it, or you watch something else and they have red flags, that's always a sign. I don't care if they've given you 1,000 videos that are like they facts, they giving you the facts, it's all good, and then you watch them again and they say something, and as your spirit is like, that ain't sitting with me, or that's a lie, or something about it is off, or they're leaning towards some type of spiritual or benevolence that you just not sure of. Always lean into yourself, right? Lean into yourself, as in leaning into your body as your temple. Start speaking to the good Lord, because remember, this is the person that we hearken to. Always pray to the good Lord about someone who you consider to be a motivational speaker or a prophet of some sort, someone who's come, your pastor, your preacher, whoever's giving you, due diligence, or telling you, your life coach, or whomever. Always, you should be speaking to the good Lord first and asking them to speak back to you and give you the acknowledgement, to give you, the intuition that is needed and the discernment that is needed on if the information they're giving you is truthful, or the behaviors that they may be exhibiting is, godlike, right? If it's trueness and holiness, and that they're actually somebody who's really working with the good Lord with a whole heart. And that they're not doing any kind of divination behind the scenes, because a lot of these people are telling you they're dealing with God, that they believe in God and they love God, but they are really working with dark secrets, dark societies, secret societies, and they have you tuned into their channels and they using your energy and your funds. Unfortunately, we even see with people who not even speaking spiritual stuff. A lot of these people, right, in our indigenous and our Afro and here in Americas, I'm gonna speak on that because that's where I am, and they are using our peoples you know, to an advantage, to a disadvantage. And they're just trying to capitalize on people. They've been scamming people in our communities for far too long with the hopes and the guise that they're going to help better stuff. They're going to be building, and all they're doing is taking. They're not giving. They're not offering any solutions. They come on here to complain. They come on here to, propagate and cause diversions and distractions. And these people literally work with demonic spirits. These people have demonic attachments. These people are monitoring spirits. They are not who they say they are. Y'all have got to start fact checking people. You have got to start using your discernment. You have got to start using your God-given talents. A lot of y'all are seers. You are light workers. You are people who are going to speak up against systems, and you have the power, and you have to use your power to stand up for yourself. And a lot of times that just means, okay, I no longer want to subscribe to this person's rhetoric of lies, of propaganda, of diversion, of, just trying to divert things the wrong way, especially also people who are not willing to, you know, admit when they may have misspoke too. And a lot of times people capitalize on that, like, oh, this person said this, now they're trying to backtrack. There's a difference between saying, well, I may have thought one way, and I'm, learning and I'm evolving now, than people who are just trying to, scapegoat out of something they really feel. It mean, once again, you guys have to use your intuition on if someone's being, authentic, right? It's all about authenticity, is as they're really acknowledging it, they really showing empathy and stuff like that when they come on here on these platforms and they telling you information that's super volatile, that's super close to home, because spirituality is something that's very near and dear to indigenous cultures all across the globe. And to, give misinformation, and to know you working with bodies of people who are really don't want to see your people rise up. So just know that I'm someone who definitely wants to see everybody in the community rise up. And we have a lot of people who want to divert us and keep us down and play this game like they care, and they do certain things that seem to fit the narrative, but behind closed doors, or even right in your face, they're doing certain things that don't align with the mission and the values they claim that they stand with. So you guys we've got to start vetting people in our communities, to stop inviting everybody to the cookouts. And we're not even talking about people outside of the community. We're talking about folks in our community. Y'all have got to do better at vetting people, better at, really using your intuition and your discernment, and leaning closer to what the good Lord is directing you to, what your spirit and your ancestors are directing you to when they're telling you if someone means you well. When someone's telling you things that really are going to be a motivating or deciding factor. And at the end of the day, you need to do your own research. You need to do your own background. You need to be speaking to your ancestors and talking to the Most High to make your final decision. Don't take your final decisions from me. Don't take them from anyone else. You need to be doing your own self work, your own shadow work, and really, leaning in closer to the Most High and getting yourself prepared for what's to come, because there's a lot of people who are dealing with the spirit of deceit right now. There's a lot of deceit going on and a lot of trickery. And, now that they know people are waking up and they're remembering who they are, they're remembering their ancestors and their lineage, people are ready to delineate and be a part of communities and groups of people who respect them and acknowledge them and the talents that they bring. And so you have to be real smart with how you move with finding your tribe of people, with the person that you want to attach yourself to, because you don't want to attach yourself to the wrong energies and the wrong people. Because I have been someone who has done that too in the past. You think someone is having a movement or moving their platform in a direction, and it seems like it's really well, and then as you keep watching them or you keep listening or you really double check things, you realize that these people are moving in a fashion that doesn't really align with what they're saying it is. And then you got a lot of people right now in our community, they have a lot of complaints. They have very little solutions. Be very wary of these people. They come on, everything is a joke. They want to bash everyone, but no one has a solution. No one wants to work together on how we make solutions, how we come together as a community and stop worrying about, breaking people up, and that we can just focus on how to build ourselves up, how we can come together with all of our talents, and so that we can build a better future for our children and their children's children, instead of focusing on the things we hate about each other or all these other people, that's outside of the community, celebrities and all of this stuff. We have to focus on the people in our community who are looking for betterment. And maybe that could be, a celebrity or something. But right now, too many people are spending time on stuff that are diverting our attentions to the wrong things. And a lot of us is getting too mature to even be watching and listening to platforms like this. So a lot of us really has to raise our mature level. In fact, when we were on pause, guys, me and my family, when we do these discussions, I had to pause the recording, and we have even little, side moments where we talk and speak about things in the midst of it. And something that came up was because we spoke about how Ham even got the curse that passed on. Well, it went to Canaan. And I said, well, really, it was because Ham was immature, right? He saw his father's drunkenness and nakedness. And the first thing he did, instead of covering him, is he went to go show his brother. He went to go tell Japheth and Shem, well, look at dad. He's naked, instead of covering him himself. And the first thing they did when they seen him was, oh my, let's cover our father. Let's, so he doesn't awake in this state. So in reality, one of his first sins in that matter was he was immature, right? That's a state of immaturity. What was the purpose of showing his father's nakedness? So that's a state of like immaturity. And it's also a state of like, trying to show someone when they're down and out, right? Mm-hmm. Why would you want someone to be exposed when our people are, someone you say you love is in a position, right? And for what we know of, the way the story was told, it happened, somewhat on accident. Like he said, this is his first time drinking wine. This is the creations of wine, right? A vineyard. And so he didn't even realize that he was drunk until he was, right? He had too much to drink, but that was because it was something new to him. And so instead of him, keeping his father's, mishaps with him, he had to show other people his father in that light. And that's very telling of a lot of our people, you know what I'm saying? Because some of them definitely need to be, placed and where we, are able to say like, hey, this person is definitely working against the community. That's different. But you see what I'm saying here with this is completely different here. When we see our people we love, and they caught up in a situation, it shouldn't be about embarrassing them. It shouldn't be about keeping people down. We have to be there to help one another up, right? Because there's a bunch of people who are living in hate and in fear, and they can't wait to help each other out. So if we dealing with people who speak in love and peace and dignity and stuff like that, and who's been looking out for us, we definitely should be there for them in their time of need and things like that. And we have to be people who move in that fashion. We can't be people who are moving in the spirit of, embarrassment, in the spirit of trying to embarrass other people or bring other people down, especially people they saying that they love, or people who have looked out for them and taken care of them. And by no means does that mean we are, allowing people to stay in our community that are doing things that are wrong either. That's not, like I said, that's not what I'm saying. So that's why I say use your discernment, be wise, and be careful who you are allowing to tap into y'all's energy. And just, keep your eye out for authenticity, because there's a lot of people out here who are fake, and you need to acknowledge their fake ways and the things that they're portraying, and just be honest with yourselves and with these people. And we just have to be people who are, not fearful. to stand up for ourselves and stand up, because that's what the end of the chapters in Numbers was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, otherwise these people are gonna continue to vex you. They're gonna continue to gaslight you because you can't stand up for yourselves, and you won't be obedient to the good Lord when he's saying to handle these people. So now is the time. Now's the time for us to stand up for ourselves and stand up for each other in our communities, and stop letting people gaslight us and make us feel, a certain way for your beliefs, or for your ability, or your need or wants to love yourself and your people. All right, y'all, that's it for this Sabbath session. God bless y'all. Like and subscribe to the page, and we'll see you guys again on the next Sabbath session.